Okay, good afternoon everyone. So at this time, we will tackle about one sample t-test. So actually, the one sample t-test is the statistical procedure wherein it helps us to know about the difference between the mean of the sample and the mean from the known population that is represented by mu or n. Okay, so we have here the formula for the t-test. T is equal to x bar minus population mean over standard deviation or S over square root of n, or n is referring to the sample. So we have here one example. One of the undersecretaries of the Department of Labor and Employment claims that the average salary of civil engineer is 18,000 pesos. So this one is referring actually to the entire population of the civil engineer that has 18,000 as its population mean. Then we have here a sample of 19 civil engineers. Salary has a mean of 17,350 pesos and a standard deviation of 1,230 pesos. Then we have here, is there enough evidence to reject the undersecretary's claim at 0.01 level of significance? So actually, we can verify that one by using or by following the 6 steps. So actually, in one sample t-test, there are 6 steps for us to identify or to prove the claim. No? So we have step 1, state the null hypothesis, state that the hypothesis or hypothesis to be tested. So it is necessary for us to actually state the hypothesis because that will serve us as our basis in this part, no? In decision rule and in conclusion, as well as all the steps, no? Starting from step 1 down to step number 6. In the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis, this one is actually the null hypothesis. Beside that, it would be the alternative hypothesis. So, before we can actually state the hypothesis, let us try to figure out this given problem if it is directional or not. Because if it is directional, therefore, it is referring to one tail. Okay? If the problem or if the given situation is not it is not mentioned or does not mentioning about the direction, it means that the given scenario is non-directional, or it means that it is two-tail test, no? Or meaning two-tail. So we have here, actually in the problem, there is no statement that said greater than, more than, or less than. So therefore, by analyzing actually in this problem or in this equation, we could figure out that this one is non-directional. It means two-tail. Okay? Remember also in the two-tail, we need to divide the level of significance in actual, particularly in identifying the critical region. Okay? So we will start now at step number 1. So we have here actually for step number 1, we have here the population mean, okay, is equal to 18,000. Okay, 18,000 pesos. Against the alternative hypothesis, this one is the null, and this one is the alternative hypothesis. Against the alternative hypothesis, that it is not equal to 18,000 pesos. Next, let us identify the level of significance. So actually, the level of significance is already given in the problem, that is 0.01. So we have here 0.01. Next, we have here degrees of freedom. df is referring actually degrees of freedom. So df, the formula we have is n minus 1. And we know that our n is equal to, we have here the sample, that is 19. So we have here 19 minus 1, that is equal to 18. So we have here 18 as our degrees of freedom. Next, the critical value. So to identify actually the critical value, since this problem or situation is non-directional, therefore we will have to divide, okay, the level of significance by 2. So if we're going to divide 0.01 by 2, yes, it will give us 0.005. And the 0.005, we will pair that one with 18 as our degrees of freedom. This one in this portion is the DF. Okay, degrees of freedom. This one is the level of significance. Level of significance. So you're going to pair, no? You will have to pair between the degrees of freedom, 18 and the 0.05. You look, then after that, you identify the intersection between the two. So that would be the exact or on how to identify the level of the critical value. Since this one is non-directional, that's why we divide it by 2. So actually by using the table of value for the t-test, we can actually identify our t-critical value as plus minus 2.878, no? 2.878. Okay? Again, how we identify this one? The positive and negative 2.878. Sir, ano yung naman negative and positive? So actually, the reason why it is positive and negative because non-directional. So both sides, from the left and from the right. So plus minus 2.878. Okay, next. After that, we will have also to compute for the one sample t-test. Okay, this portion so we will have to calculate for the t-test. Provided that, okay, given that our x bar or our sample mean is actually equal to 17,350 pesos. And we are also given the population mean that is equal to what? 18,000 pesos. Another given in the problem is our standard deviation. Given that is 1,230. 1,230. And the n also, or the sample, we have n is equal to 90. So we can now use this formula, okay, for us to obtain our t-test values. We have here our x bar is equivalent to 17,350 minus 18,000. Okay, over our S is actually 1,230. So over here, 1,230 divided by square root of 90. We have here square root of, because our sample n is equal to 90. So we have here 90. Actually, we're going to use our scientific calculator. Okay, we can compute that one, or we can obtain the value of t is equal to negative 2.303. So this is actually our t-test value. After that, okay, we will have now to come up with, or we can now proceed to our decision rules. Since we already have the t-test value which is negative 2.303, then we can now make our decision. But how can we make this decision actually? We will have to base this one in our critical value. No? Dito mag-base sa critical value, we will have to compare. Actually, we can reject the null hypothesis, this one. In what way? We can actually reject if the t value is what? Is less than plus minus t is less than negative 2.878, no? And greater than positive 2.878. But since this one negative, remember sa decision rule, because in here negative 2.303 is greater than, compare this one in the negative part, negative 2.878. So therefore, we can conclude, or our decision would be what? Okay, we have here, do not reject the HO. Ang sabi na sa H ang O, this one is referring to the null hypothesis. At what level? We have here at 0.01 level. Since what? Since negative 2.303 is greater than negative 2.878. Okay? Why we cannot reject? Because the t-test or the t-test value that we have identified for this given situation is greater than the critical value. So we have here, we cannot actually reject directly the null hypothesis. So what will be our conclusion for step number 6? Okay, therefore, the average salary of civil engineer is indeed 18,000 pesos. Okay? Because we failed to reject the null hypothesis in here, we failed to reject this one. So therefore, we accept the null. No? It means that the average salary of the civil engineer is actually 18,000 pesos. So these are the steps that we are going to apply or to use, particularly in solving a situation that is concerned about one sample t-test. So there are 6 steps. The first one is we have here state the hypothesis. Number 2, the level of significance. And step number 3, we still have to identify the critical value. Then we have here step number 4, compute the one sample t-test value. Next is the step number 5, decision road, and the last one is conclusion. So actually all the steps are connected to each other because if there is one step na lacking sa dealing a problem, we cannot proceed to the next one. So it is very necessary for us to figure out those steps for us to make the right conclusion. So I hope that this video will help you particularly in answering those situations that is pertaining on one sample t-test.